Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa. And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. First on One News, former Congressman Mike Defensor says controversial witness Orly Gutesa is being protected by the Philippine Marines and is willing to testify again on the flood control fiasco once summoned.
And the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, has recommended criminal and administrative charges against Senators Joel Villanueva and Jinggoy Estrada and 4 others for allegedly taking kickbacks in infrastructure projects.
And while President Marcos says the probe and prosecution in the flood control scam cannot be rushed, the Office of the Ombudsman hopes that cases can finally be filed before December.
Hindi ko na kailangan yung witness protection, Your Honor. Kaya ko sarili ko.
Yan ang Marines. Yan ang Marines.
At may mga tropa naman ako na kayang dumipisa sa akin, Your Honor.
Ngayon po, si Sergeant Gutesa, and I'm saying this publicly, alam po to ng, I guess maraming may alam nito doon sa sa Blue Ribbon Committee, ay nasa ilalim po ng Philippine Marines. Nandun po sa kanila.
After all the statements from senators that this controversial witness's whereabouts remain unknown, an information finally. Former Marine Sergeant Orly Gutesa is now under the protection of the Philippine Marines. In fact, according to a former cabinet official and lawmaker, Gutesa is just right inside the military forces compound. Mobile journal Arles de los Santos has tonight's big story.
In an interview with One News' Historicon on Wednesday, October 29, former Quezon City Congressman Mike Defensor said the Philippine Marine Corps has custody of Orly Gutesa, a surprise witness in the flood control scandal. In an explosive testimony back in September at the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee, Gutesa claimed to have served as security consultant to resign a Bicol Party List Representative Zaldico. The Marine officer said he delivered suitcases containing cash to the residences of Co and later Representative Martin Romualdez. He recalled the delivery basura, kickbacks from infrastructure projects, particularly flood control contracts. Co was a former chairman of the powerful Appropriations Committee when Romualdez was still House Speaker.
Ngayon po, si Sergeant Gutesa, and I'm saying this publicly, alam po to ng, I guess maraming may alam nito doon sa sa Blue Ribbon Committee, ay nasa ilalim po ng Philippine Marines. Nandun po sa kanila. Wala pong nakakapag-usap sa kanya, hindi po siya pwedeng lapitan, but anytime, if there will be an official summons, ipadala po nila sa Marine Commandant pinapangalagaan po ng mga kababayang nating sundalo, ng mga marino, si Sergeant Cotesa nasa kanila po.
Defensor, who also served in various positions in former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo's administration, including as Chief of Staff and Secretary of the Environment Department, said Gutesa is not in hiding. He is staying in a Marines compound for safety after the military itself confirmed several days ago that unidentified people have been seen monitoring Gutesa. Defensor also clarified that he did not previously know Gutesa and that the witness was only coerced through him by another Marine officer. After that, Defensor turned over Gutesa to Senator Rodante Marcoleta, who requested for the notarization of the witness's affidavit. That affidavit is now the subject of an order from the Manila Regional Trial Court Branch 18. The court has recommended the filing of falsification charges against Gutesa for forged signature of lawyer Pechi Rose Espera on his sworn affidavit. The matter has been referred to the Justice Department for further investigation. Recall that Gutesa earlier refused to be put under the Witness Protection Program or even under the custody of Senate following his testimony.
I'm just concerned about the safety and security of this new witness at si Master Sergeant Orly Gutesa. Matanong ko lang si Orly, may baril ka ba?
Yes, Your Honor, may service firearms po ako.
Meron ka?
Yes, Your Honor.
May permit to carry yan?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. So you can defend yourself pag merong interesado sa buhay mo.
Yes, Your Honor, at hindi ko na kailangan yung witness protection, Your Honor. Kaya ko sarili ko.
Oh, yan ang Marines. Yan ang Marines.
At may mga tropa naman ako na kayang dumipisa sa akin, Your Honor.
Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Well, there are many points that we have to discuss about this witness who is supposedly in the Marines compound. For one, the AFP has not yet confirmed this. We cannot reach the officials of the AFP to tell us that it is in fact true. What former Congressman Mike Defensor is saying.
That's true, we can't confirm. So nobody actually has spoken to Mike Defensor since the Blue Ribbon Committee started, a hearing started, and nobody was able to also interview Orly Gutesa since his appearance.
Yeah. But if you remember that Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, it was just Orly Gutesa who made a clear connection between Congressman Zaldico and former Speaker Martin Romualdez. That was whole the basura
Yes, the actual
system,
delivery
the maleta.
of commissions to the, supposedly to the home of the former speaker. So, well, it is interesting if he will show up in the Blue Ribbon or in the Ombudsman because he's being awaited also. I saw an interview of Ombudsman Remulla with Lucci.
Yeah.
And he had these thoughts about Gotesa's testimony. He said that he didn't seem to know what was in his affidavit. It was like a script.
As if somebody had wrote it. It would
Yes.
seem that way.
That was the impression of Ombudsman Remulla. But he had this call for Gotesa to appear before his office.
Okay, so if you guys haven't seen the whole interview with Mike Defensor and Storycon, Mike Defensor was actually trying to separate his testimony, which was made under oath in the Senate, from his affidavit, which of course was notarized. Tapos nagsabi ng Manila Regional Trial Court na
It was forged.
it was forged. And he's saying, okay, that may be forged, but he did make this statement in front of everybody, in front of millions of Filipinos. So you can also take it, for what it is. And then I think Regina was raising the issue of, but it doesn't look good for credibility.
Yes, and legally, there may be, that can easily be used by the person he is accusing. In fact, when the former speaker appeared at the ICI, he said, oh, that's been proven to be false. So at Gotesa, because that's the only link to him so far.
The former speaker.
Yes.
But it's also hard to dismiss it, until
Of course.
we'd rather
Of
have him
course.
out again. Right?
But being a former Marine, well, naturally, I suppose he would seek sanctuary with his brethren. But We've seen the involvement of the Marines in
A lot of things.
in uprisings.
Are you
before.
remembering Oakwood? And
Also,
the
remember there was a standoff in the Marines, in the Marine headquarters
with
itself.
Ariel Carabin.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I guess
So it's-
there was also this point about the forged signature of Attorney Espera, the notario. It came out after nung testimony ni Guteza in the Senate na a lot of people.
Expired din yung the number of the lawyer wasn't.
And then
valid.
parang sobrang daming other deals like from Tieza, may mga contracts that were notarized by that same attorney. Even attorney Romy Macalintal had certain papers notarized there too.
Mike Defensor also said in the Storycon interview that the person who volunteered Gotesa as a witness knew about his connection to
With
Senator
Senator
Marcoleta.
Yes, and he acknowledged it on air and on Storycon today. He said, yes, alam naman niya close kami. So our co-hosts asked, so talagang close ba kayo? Sabi niya, yes, from our time in Congress, we were really close.
Yes, remember they were tandem when the franchise of ABS-CBN
ABS-CBN.
was denied.
Right.
Yes.
So they really are close.
So the plot has thickened even further. And well, we're eagerly awaiting if he will, if Gotesa will volunteer
Yeah. In the next hearing.
in the next hearing, or go to the Ombudsman's
Ombudsman,
office.
Yeah.
Well, Senator Peng Lacson did say that, of course, before he becomes Blue Ribbon Chairman again, he has to be elected again. And if that happens, then he will
Definitely someone.
Yeah.
Orly Guteza. But I think it's worth investigating that angle that Orly Guteza brought up because he detailed the whole system of delivering the kickback, the SOP from
Which they called
the contractors.
interestingly basura.
Basura.
Interesting code name. Oh, it also bears mentioning that supposedly there are 19 other, like may mga police, may mga ibang former uniformed personnel then that are involved. And yung sinasabi nga ni Mike Defensor earlier was that bakit hindi nyo sila rin interviewin? Because some names were already named. Some of them were also driving supposedly the cars.
One thing that Congress can do is look at the staff of Saldico because he claims to have been a security consultant. Isn't that in the plantilla?
Correct.
Isn't that, in the payroll somehow?
Well, consultants are, even in corporal, right? Sometimes they don't really make it on the plantilla. There were
Well,
photos, though, of them together in yung mga parang nagdi-distribute ng mga, those mga covered court. Then Orly Guteza
But you
is
know how
there.
photos can
Exactly.
be
Nowadays,
not
yeah.
necessarily. I mean, anybody can take a selfie
Right.
with you.
True, that's true. So,
But they should at least try.
They should at
because
least try.
no one has done that. So, House of Congress, maybe. Moving on, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure has recommended to the Ombudsman a second batch of charges over the multi-billion peso flood control scandal. Included are Senators Jinggoy Estrada and Joel Villanueva, and former Ako Bicol Party List Congressman Zaldico for allegedly receiving kickbacks. Also facing possible charges are former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, COA Commissioner Mario Lipana, and former Caloocan Representative Mary Mitzi Kahayon Uy. The officials may be liable for bribery, corruption, and plunder. ICI Chairman Andres Reyes said the recommendations were based on sworn affidavits and evidence of former DPWH engineers Henry Alcantara, Bryce Hernandez, and JP Mendoza, particularly on the alleged systematic kickback scheme. The three claim legislators act as project proponents and insert flood control projects into the national budget in exchange for commissions ranging from 20 to 30% of project costs.
This would trigger the payment or obligations or SOP to the proponent. An advance payment of 10% of the budget allocation when the net is released, while the remaining 15% would be paid off to the proponent when the GAA is passed. This 25% payoff is advanced by the contractors to ensure that the project will be awarded to them. No one will be spared in this fight against corruption politicians, and government officials will be investigated and charged by credible evidence. Those found responsible will face the consequences and held accountable under the rule of law.
Senators Estrada and Villanueva maintain their innocence. Villanueva said his lawyers will study the basis of his inclusion in the ICI's referral and will await the action of the Office of the Ombudsman before filing an answer. Villanueva added records of the Senate will show that he has been against flood control projects from the very beginning, even exposed and questioned state-funded contracts that have not been implemented. Estrada, on the other hand, insisted that he did not pocket any money off flood control projects and that he can prove it in court. Estrada again called the allegations hearsay. As for Ko, this is the second case he is facing after also being included in the first recommendation of charges by the ICI over alleged anomalies in flood control projects in Oriental Mindoro.
And it had just been confirmed that some of ex-Congressman Zaldico's private air assets are now out of the country. According to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, 3 of Co's 11 air assets left the country in the past 2 months. 2 were Augusta Westland choppers that departed in August 20 and September 11. These were last spotted and believed to be now in Kota Kinabalu, Malaysia. On the other hand, Co's Gulfstream is reported to have left the country on August 16 and is currently now in Singapore. The NBI recommended back in September the freezing of all 11 air assets of Co, worth a total of 4.7 billion pesos and registered under the names of his various companies. CAAP is still verifying who was in those aircraft when they fled the country. DPWH Secretary Vince Dizon will also meet with the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, tomorrow, Thursday, on the issue of freezing the assets of those involved in the flood control mess.
As far as our record is concerned, we are monitoring itong mga movement ng mga aeroplanong ito, pero hindi po kami sure kung meron ng freeze order ang AMLA. Wala pa po kaming natatanggap na freeze order dito sa CAAP.
Ang kagandahan is kahit na wala sila sa bansa, dahil hindi na sila pwedeng i-deregister sa ating CAAP, hindi sila maibibenta.
Meanwhile, the DPWH submitted to COMELEC certifications and a list of 27 government contractors that have given donations to candidates in the 2022 polls. And included in the list is Centerways Construction and Development Incorporated, headed by Lawrence Lubiano, who donated to the campaign of Senator Cheese Escudero. The Omnibus Election Code explicitly states that private companies with government contracts cannot contribute to politicians' campaigns. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia says he will issue a show-cause order to the contractors in the list.
Pagkatapos po na mapasagot natin yung 27 na yan, ay pasasagutin naman po natin. Yun naman po mga kandidato na nabigyan, tumanggap mula po doon sa 27 na kontratista.
President Bongbong Marcos says the government cannot rush the ongoing investigations on corruption. In a press conference while in Malaysia for the ASEAN Summit, he acknowledged the public's frustration, but stressed that due process must be followed to ensure those involved are properly brought to justice. The chief executive also said the political side of the issue is over and that the matter is now under legal process.
I get messages all day, every day. Ikulong mo na yan. Alam naman natin kung sino sila. Ikulong mo na. Kunin mo lahat ng pera nila. Pagbenta mo na yung mga bahay nila, ibalik sa ano. What would then I be accused of if we did that? Isa lang ang chance natin. We cannot waste that opportunity to bring justice to those people, to bring those people to justice, and to bring justice to the Filipino people. So, do you want to get it done quickly, or do you want to get it done right? That's the choice that we have. So I understand the frustration because we do have a very good idea about who these people are.
Meantime, the president declined to comment on the Independent Commission for Infrastructure's decision to live stream its hearings. But he did say that it will not affect the credibility of the inquiry.
We provide them a budget and we allow them to run everything the way they want, to hire the people that they want. And yung mga substantial matters, ay nasa sa kanila yun.
The Office of the Ombudsman is now targeting to file complaints in connection with the flood control scandal on or before November 25th. According to Ombudsman Boying Remulla, SunWest Corporation or Incorporated, owned by ex-Congressman Zaldico, will definitely be among the first in the charge sheet, along with 17 other respondents, some of whom are government officials belonging to salary grade 27 and up. Remulla says they're about to file malversation, bribery, and falsification to the Sandigan Bayan, particularly on the anomaly in the flood control project in Nauhan, Oriental Mindoro, and of course the 5 ghost projects in Bulacan.
Marami yan kasi lahat ng contracting companies, we will make the board of directors also liable. I mean, we will hold them liable also for everything that happened. Kaya mas marami tayong magiging respondents dito.
Now, aside from that, Ombudsman Remulla says there is still an ongoing investigation on all 421 ghost flood control projects identified by the DPWH. He assures they are really going all out in the probe to ensure reasonable certainty of conviction.
We are in the process of farming them out so that we can validate the information again. We have validation reports from the PNP about the projects being ghost projects. It's just that we have to check again with the bid documents about the location of the said ghost projects so that we will not fail in terms of proving that these are ghost projects. The location is critical to this.
Meanwhile, Ombudsman Remulla admits he is now considering live streaming the ongoing preliminary investigations on the 13 complaints filed by the DPWH and the Commission on Audit against those involved in anomalous flood control projects.
Kasi nga, these are supposed to be public, public in nature. All court proceedings are supposed to be public in nature. You should be able to step into the courtroom, except for cases where children are the rights of children may be violated. Kaya we were looking at the bounds of transparency that we can adhere to in this office.
For now, one thing is for sure. Remulla says they will now be making sure that all his office's decisions are publicized. He says he will also include in the disclosure decisions by his predecessors, Conchita Carpio Morales and Samuel Martires, particularly on the case against Senator Joel Villanueva.
Sir, bakit po natin i-post?
For the information lang, kasi nga people are speculating as to what is which and what is what. So it's actually public property. These are already decisions that are presumed to be valid.
Ombudsman Remulla also shared some unfortunate news. The former congressman from Quezon City, who Remulla said was willing to tell all that he knows about the flood control mess, has backed out from giving statements.
Nawala I think I said too much. Mea culpa. Kasi nga, nung nalaman, marami kong mausap yata sa kanya. Pero, patatawag pa rin namin.
Mga kailan kaya, sir?
I'm sure after this weekend.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, 3 Southeast Asian nations get tariff reliefs from the United States. How did the Philippines just get snubbed? That story and more are next. Keep it here on One News.
You're watching the big story here on One News. The United States has exempted 3 Southeast Asian nations from tariffs on select products, but the Philippines is not one of those countries. Indonesian news outlet Detik Finance first reported that Thailand, Malaysia, and Cambodia got tariff exemptions in exchange for trade concessions. Trump granted 0% tariffs on select Thai products that have not yet been announced. In return, Thailand will purchase $20 billion worth of U.S. agricultural products, energy supplies, and aircraft. Bangkok has also scrapped tariffs for 99% of U.S. items.
Meanwhile, Malaysia is now exempted from U.S. duties on aerospace equipment, pharmaceuticals, and key commodities, including palm oil and cocoa. There's no information on the trade deal between the U.S. and Cambodia. So why did the Philippines miss out on the chance to obtain a tariff break from Trump? Well, economic czar Frederico says the country actually opted out of the deal. In a statement read by Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, Go says the government is protecting key domestic industries from being swallowed by foreign competition.
Now let's talk further about we'll ask him about an apparent snub of the Philippines. Our guest is the President and Chief Economist of Credit Rating and Investor Services Philippines. Welcome to the big story, Mr. Emmanuel Leco. May I call you Emmanuel or Mr. Leco?
Emmanuel or Noel?
Noel.
Okay,
All right, Noel. From the perspective of being the oldest ally of the U.S. in Southeast Asia, this seems like we're now downgraded to least favored nation status. What do you think? Did the government, the government's defense is we really opted out of the deal because we wanted to protect the agricultural sector? Mm-hmm.
You know, two things come to mind. And good evening, ladies, and thank you for inviting me this evening. Two things come to mind regarding this issue. First, the Philippine president even came to visit President Trump a few months back, trying to negotiate the tariff down further, but from 20%. But we only got 19%. Mm-hmm. So that's hardly, I'm not sure we can consider that as a victory for the trade visit of the president to the United States a few months ago. And then came this, of all the countries in the ASEAN, I would believe that the Philippines is the most or the closest ally of the United States. And yet we got nothing. We didn't get mentioned from the tariff, favorable tariff that the Philippines could get. No, I don't think this is any favor to the Philippines. I don't think we are getting any favor from the United States, considering that Thailand, Malaysia, and Cambodia, I think the Philippines would be the closest ally of the Philippines, and yet we did not even get mentioned.
You're right. But the defense of DECGO is that we did not open our markets. They were protecting the agricultural sector because this is what Thailand, Malaysia, and Cambodia had to do.
If that were true, or to me, if it is believable, what about the rice tariffication law that allowed importation of rice from other countries? That is opening the country's rice industry to other countries. That is still open. So I would like to believe that if that is the case, the next step of the Philippine government will be to repeal the rice tariffication law.
Okay. Noel, you know, before the tariffs kicked in, and I believe that was on August 7, 2025, so about 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago, would you say this actually had a huge impact on us? Because we were trying to assess it back then, and, you know, some economists put it at around $2.2 billion on our goods exported to the U.S.
In additional tariffs.
Yes.
No, I don't believe so. Remember, we had been a net importer, and our exports are not exactly the biggest
Yeah.
in the United States. So I think it only had a marginal impact on the Philippine economy with that from that trip. I did not think so.
And in fact, actually, when you try to Google it, you barely find any articles on the impact of that. So what I want to ask you, Noel, though, is the nuancing, because Sas was right. What she was saying was that, of course, Osapea, the presidential advisor, Frederick Go, did have gave an excuse or a justification. You're not buying it?
No, I don't think so. And I think that's the job of the secretary to cheer our government, to put the decisions of the government in a good light. However, when we look at realities, no, this is the second time in a few months that I think we've been snubbed. I think that we were not given that kind of favor or that kind of good attention or good treatment that we were expecting, being the biggest ally or the strongest ally of the United States here in this part of the region.
What is your analysis? Why are we being treated this way?
We are a very weak country. Trade relations, believe it or not, it really comes from the point of view of who is a stronger party in this relation. So we cannot really make any demands on the United States. So we just accept what the United States think is good for us. That is what the country is accepting. Do we have any choice? Yes, we do. I think we have to broaden our trade relations. We need to trade more with other countries other than the United States, other than Japan, and other than the traditional trading partners of the Philippines. We have to consider other countries.
And you imagine that they're even opening to palm oil. Di talo na naman tayo sa coconut.
Of course.
Diba? Why?
Our products.
Why?
That's the saddest part. Our export products are not the most competitive in the world. They can walk away from us. I don't think they will really care.
I wanted to ask you that, Noel, is it because you think we're actually not really competitive anyways when it comes to exports? We're barely exporting anything. If we compare us to Malaysia, they have national industries, right? That they really take care of. But us, I was just telling Pawi before we went to air, we export a lot of labor, semicons perhaps, right? But not really the highest at the value chain.
Yes.
And some, agri-products like coconuts.
That's true. I think if we look at our export products, and by the way, when I was studying economics, we never considered labor as exportable. Labor, we were only looking at goods and services, commodities, basically, as our exportable products. But now, even labor is being considered, and without any much protest from traditional economists, labor is now being exported.
Yeah, but Noel,
and,
go ahead.
We look at our products, our economy, they can walk away from our electronic products because there are other sources that they can choose, that they can go to get electronic products that we export to them. By the way, electronics and semiconductor, they are our biggest exports to the U.S.
Mm-hmm. So, Pawi, go ahead. Then
No, I just remember that U.S. President Donald Trump did say in his meeting with President Bongbong Marcos at the White House that the President BBM, was a tough negotiator. So, is that what's happening here? Maybe we are striking a very tough deal.
Well, just like what many did after that, when I heard that, a lot of people were just basically listen to it tongue in cheek and say, is the president really a tough negotiator? Look at that. We were coming from basically 20% tariff, and then it was brought down to 19%. The U.S. said that they consider Bongbong a top negotiator. I don't think coming down from 20% to 19%, resulting to a 1% decrease, is a product of a top negotiation.
Actually,
I don't think so.
It's insulting. Parang he meant it as a joke. He was actually insulting.
He was being Trump.
That's right. It's like.
But this is,
and
we're moving to another area here, Noel, if you will allow me, because we have a mutual defense treaty with the U.S. And if this is the way they treat us, we are supposed to be also an ally in protecting the sea lanes. And this is how it doesn't seem congruent to what did they say? Ironclad commitment to the Philippines.
You brought that issue of the military bases agreement. I recall, this is going to age me.
No, but I also recall the same. Lagi tayong we're just kicked around. Military aid na mga lumang military equipment na pinaglumaan na, second hand, yung mga tinatapon na. Tama ba? Is that what you were about to say?
Exactly. I was about to say that. And also, during the first term of the first Marcos, he used the military bases as a bargaining chip to raise his negotiation to receive a higher amount of aid from the U.S. Of course, that's a terrible thing to do. It's like using our sovereignty as a bargaining chip. But that was the one that was used by the first President Marcos. In this case, our current President Marcos, I did not hear him negotiate with and using any bargaining chip. There was no bargaining chip, basically. We accepted what was offered to us, and we came out smiling, and that's terrible.
Noel, I wanted to actually ask you about Cambodia because, okay, fine, Malaysia, okay, fine, Thailand, but Cambodia getting in on this deal. For now, the terms are very vague, right? And it would seem like the U.S. also got Cambodia to promise that it would open the doors, the floodgates to U.S. imports into Cambodia. But what do you make of Cambodia actually getting in on this deal and us being, again, snubbed?
Well, Cambodia is a recent player in the ASEAN, and considering that the U.S. is positioning itself against China, having Cambodia in the U.S. fold will be a very good thing for them. So I'm sure, while we do not know much about the terms of the deal, I'm sure that there will be, I'm not sure if it's visiting forces agreement or something more strategic than the trade relations that was being negotiated.
Let me ask you then, how can we strengthen our cards? How can we be more respected and valued and seen as with strength? Parang
Let's do it.
Para hindi tayo sinisipa-sipa lang.
Meron ba tayong leverage, di ba? Ano bang pwede nating i-leverage?
Oo. Anong dapat gawin?
It's going to be difficult, but we need to do it the old-fashioned way. We have to strengthen our own economy. We have to strengthen and make our products more competitive. They cannot live without other countries because they have the resources that they need for their own economy. Meanwhile, the Philippines, we don't really have much to offer. Not only the United States, but also other countries by way of trade. We don't have competitive products like we used to in the past. We had agricultural products. Of course, that's not a very good competitive position to have because we were just offering raw materials. But at
we
least
should have more value-added, products.
Exactly. And in this time of AI, competitive IT, technology will be the key to be competitive. We need to be competitive where people or where economies of the world are going. We need to be technically competitive. And I think being competitive in AI, software development, circuit design engineering, applications development will be the leapfrogging strategy for the Philippines so that we can be more competitive and be
Naku.
looked at more seriously.
Matagal na nating narinig rin yung leapfrogging na yan.
It's a dream.
I
It's
am
a dream.
revealing my age as well.
No, but okay, let me reveal my age now. I remember when I was very little that we actually had industries, right? We had like a lumber industry, we had like a shipbuilding industry. Now, I'm not sure.
I don't know about lumber. We don't
but
want
lumber,
that.
timber, we had well, they cut down trees, a lot of it, and I think naubos siya, right?
Naubos.
What
Yes.
are your suggestions as an economist, Noel? What can you suggest for us to strengthen our economy?
You know, in the past, we had the textile industry, and we were the envy of our neighbors. We had, I think, even relatively a very good electronics industry, and we were competing with major countries here in Asia. But now we can hardly speak of an industry that will be competitive among our neighbors or even in other countries. What can we do? I really think that we have to go more inward. Let us address what we need now by developing our agriculture,
Yes.
developing our industries for first domestic requirements, domestic demand. And once we have strengthened our own domestic industries, our own agriculture, I think that will be the time when we can go out and say to the world, now you can look at us. We have what we need. But if you need anything else, we can perhaps provide them for you. Right now, it's very difficult for the Philippines to speak of a competitive position. We
Right.
are not in any competitive position right
Well-
now. And therefore, rather than compete externally, we should try to strengthen our industries, our agriculture, to meet our domestic demand.
But at the same time, Noel, you have U.S. products entering the Philippines tariff-free, like automobiles, wheat, soy, pharmaceuticals. I mean, have we seen the immediate effects of that? Are we benefiting as consumers in this lopsided trade deal?
You know, the imports of automobiles has been done for the longest time. In fact, we are paying so much for our vehicles right now because of the high tariff, the high import taxes that are being imposed on our vehicles. I have yet to see the impact of the zero tariff or the tariff-free automobiles coming into the Philippines. But that is also terrible.
More
We
traffic.
need mass transport. we need public transportation, and therefore that's what we should focus on. Let's negotiate for import-free or tariff-free importation of public transportation equipment, not individual
Cars.
vehicles.
Yeah.
And today, of course, everybody's worried. Well, okay, maybe half the country is worried about the quote-unquote weak peso. We all know that's coming from a strong dollar. But, you know, because we were talking to Jonathan Ravelas also last night to ask him about what he thinks about the currency. What are you seeing? Are you seeing 60 also to a dollar?
When we see 60, that will be terrible for the economy. I think that will go southbound when we see 60. Right now at 59, people are already very, very edgy with 59. You know, we import so much that, you know, any movement in the dollar exchange rate will also mean that there will be price increases in the country. And that is going to be definitely a major impact on inflation in the country. once inflation hits the country, that will be terrible. Right now, we seem to be okay with inflation,
Yeah.
still keeping very,
So-
relatively manageable. But once the impact of a weak Philippine peso kicks in, that will also create a major inflationary impact on our economy, and that will be deeply hurt. That will deeply hurt our economy.
All right. Lastly, before we let you go, what can the government do, the economic managers do to soften the blow or to strengthen the peso against a strong dollar?
Like I said before, import less. If you import less, you will require less dollars coming out of the country, and therefore you will be able to provide enough buffer to our economy when the currency fluctuates. Right now, we don't have much. They're always saying that there are overseas Filipino workers abroad who are sending dollars to their families here, and that's great. However, $3 to $4 billion a month will only be good if inflation remains low. Once the currency weakness of the Philippine peso kicks in, and that creates inflation, whatever impact or positive impact of dollars coming into the country will also be exhausted, will be affected, and it will not create much impact on the economy because the prices of goods in the country will also become much higher.
Wow, such a dire prediction.
Such a sad end to this conversation.
Papasok pa naman ang Pasko. Okay, we thank you so much. It was economist Emmanuel Leco.
We're going to be pausing for another quick break, but when we return, with all senators bringing their salads out in the open, meet the richest and the poorest of the pack. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us here on The Big Story. All 24 senators have released their statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN. Senators Amy Marcos, Bato de la Rosa, and Minority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano completed the list with their SALNs today. Senator Marcos's net worth comes to 165 million pesos. Senator Cayetano has 101 million, while Senator De La Rosa's amounts to just under 33 million pesos. Late yesterday, fellow minority senators Bongo and Rodante Marcoleta released their SALNs. Go's worth also is just under 33 million, while Senator Marcoleta's is almost 52 million pesos. As of today, Mark Villar and Rafi Tulfo are the richest senators with a net worth of more than 1 billion pesos. The senators with the lowest net worth are Risa Ontiveros and Chis Escudero, both just under 18 million pesos.
And there are only a few more days until the All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day observance. And people are already trooping to cemeteries to pay their respects to their departed loved ones. Such is the case at the Manila North Cemetery. Because of this, authorities started implementing stricter security. All pointed and flammable objects are being confiscated, including cigarettes and vapes, as well as anything that could cause noise, such as guitars, radios, speakers, and even playing cards. Even pets cannot be brought inside the cemetery.
Naglilinis lang po kami.
Ba't kayo inaresto?
Nakabad po. Nakabad po. Kasi pag nakadamit ka, madudumihan ka.
And in Bogo City, Cebu, the epicenter of the magnitude 6.7 quake back in September, visitors spent almost all day fixing their loved ones' graves at Corazon Cemetery.
Talagang ramdam pa rin namin ang sakit hanggang ngayon. Ngayong parating ang undas, mas mabigyan natin sila ng halaga man lang.
Sakit sa akong balatian nga, kanang sa akong ginikanan nga inani nga sitwasyon. Kung mahimo pang naapa ko'y kaugalingon nga private nga kanang luti, mas maayo unta. Apan wala yun.
Meanwhile, transport terminals such as PITX in Parañaque still has considerably less foot traffic. But tickets to dates close to November 1 are fast running out, especially for buses plying Bicol, Baguio, Zambales, and Pangasinan. And to ensure that drivers are fit to travel, the Department of Transportation conducted random drug testing. Anyone who yields a positive result will still undergo a confirmatory test.
Kapag nag-positive po yan based sa confirmatory test by PDEA, again, we have to turn over yan sa police. And that's automatic cancellation, revocation of its license.
And our big picture tonight takes us overseas as tourists flock to Lake Kawaguchi and Oishi Park in Japan, both with an unobstructed view of Mount Fuji in the background. The peak of Japan's most enduring symbol was capped with snow 21 days later than usual. This is considered a milestone since Japan's meteorological agency started records in 1984. Asked why the snow came 3 weeks late, the Kofu Observatory office said it had no idea. Has no idea.
I thought it was related to global warming and climate change.
That's nice rin na hindi rin nila alam. You
Oh,
would
surprise.
think, no?
No, I would think with Japanese precision,
Yeah,
the snow.
they would have an answer as to why.
I guess it goes to show that sometimes kahit na gaano ka in control ka, there are just things that
you can't explain.
Yeah. But inflation, that's something we can control.
That is something we can't control. All right. And that's it for the big story this midweek. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. We will see you then.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.
Do stay tuned, though, for all the sports fans out there because we still have play-by-play coming up right now with Andre Felix and Bea Escudero. Guys, ang daming balita sa world of sports.
Super. Oh, parang sa inyo din, ang dami din balita. Kayo ba may bala kayo maglabas ng salin nyo?
Okay lang naman sa akin. It shouldn't be too hard to fill in.
Mababa lang. Sean, ikaw muna, Andre.
Ha?
Ikaw muna.
Kanina, sabi nga ni Dimples, Andre, BIR is waving.
Actually, we should not stop at just saying, oh, they're worth ganto-ganto, 1 billion,
Maraming
18
nuancing
million.
eh.
We should really examine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's really honesty system when it comes to your salary. You just declare what you want to declare.
Yes, honestly. Pero may caveat daw. Kasi kung nahuli na hindi ka honest, doon pwede ka nila parusa. Yes, and yung parusa could lead to that, disqualification.
Tingnan natin. Mind-boggling lang kasi because, di ba nga, I'm sure
Sige nga,
Sino
paki-explain
pinaka-mind-boggling?
mind-boggling sa'yo.
Bakit sa akin yung binato? Sports na lang pag-usapan natin.
Sabi mo, mind-boggling.
Hindi kasi sabi ko, di ba yung mga ibang bagay nga na alam naman natin, public knowledge that is more expensive than what they have dun sa assets, which yun yung mind-boggling. Di ba?
Marami rin kasing nuancing like,